There are so many different words that have been created because of gaming. So many, in fact, that it feels like it's its own language at times. First, I'll talk about some of the more general gaming terms. Uh, Analog is a type of controller that is sensitive to the degree in which a button or joystick is pushed. Downwardly or backward compatible is a gaming system, console, PC, etc. that supports games that were made for the previous version of a system. Betas are a nearly complete prototype of the game. Users often test beta versions to alert developers of bugs or problems. Demos are a sample playable demonstration of a game that is intended to entice the player to purchase the full version. If you've never heard of first person and third person is a game played through the main character's eyes, as if you were the character. Third person gaming is playing the character from behind. Some terms can be used for more than one genre of games. Terms such as boss or boss fights, which is a powerful character that a player will face and must defeat at the end of a level or in the middle. There are mini bosses too. Cheat codes. Some games have the option of entering codes that affect gameplay, such as unlimited ammo, unlimited health, etc. Cutscenes are an animation technique that continues the storyline between game segments. Usually, a player cannot interact with the game at this point, but not always. An NPC is a game character under the control of artificial intelligence. Some genre languages are more prolific and much more tough to understand, though. For example, people who play MMORPGs or just MMOs are exposed to an abundance of terms that many people cannot understand. If you've ever heard two people having a conversation about World of Warcraft and you've never played it, it's as if they're speaking an entirely different language. And I'll let you know about some of these terms now and let you know what they mean if you've never known. Some of these terms include crit, which would be a critical hit. Tank. A tank is a tank is a character that is used to take a lot of damage. They usually take all the damage for the group. A pull is a strategy usually used by the tank to pull a certain amount of enemies to a certain spot to not pull any more enemies. A heal or a healer are used in groups to keep the entire group alive. The name of it kind of says itself. A pug, PUG, is a pickup game. Usually used to refer to dungeon groups or raid groups that have just got together without any set time and set players, all just kind of randomized. DPS is damage per second, or DPS is also used to refer to a certain kind of character that usually just does damage for the group. A proc is an abbreviation for a programmed random occurrence, and it refers to the benefits of added damage or other buffing enhancement that occurs randomly when an item is striked or used. A cooldown is a term used to tell you how long it takes for an ability of yours to reset and to be able to use it again. Aggro is the term we use to a cooldown is the time it takes for an ability to reset and for you to be able to use it again. The word aggro, it refers to a hostile mob that has noticed a player and is actively trying to attack that player. It's the amount of hostility of players generated on a mob. If you're a tank, you want to try to get as much aggro as you possibly can. Somebody said bio, B-I-O, short for bathroom break. And AoE, which MMO yourself, but after you equip it, the item becomes soulbound. Soulbound means that you can't trade it after that. So after it's bind on equip, bind on pickup is when you pick up an item, and you can neither sell it nor put it on the auction house. Bind on pickup means that it's your item as soon as you pick it up, nobody else's. A buff is a temporary boost to a character attribute or a combat ability. Makes your character better and enhances their skills. Buffs can be given out by a number of different kinds of characters. A debuff is essentially the opposite. It takes away the buff or gives you negative attributes to a buff. Crafting is very common in MMOs. There are many different types of skills that you can use, such as jewel crafting, leatherworking, smithing, etc. Class and race. Class is the type of character you are, whether you're a rogue or a warrior or a paladin, etc. Race is, we all know what race is, the type of character. If you're an elf, if you're a gnome, if you're a human. Rare. DOT refers to damage over time spells. Rare and epic items, there are different tiers of levels for items. Epic items are some of the best items, and they're usually differently color-coded by their names. XP or experience points are received after killing mobs or doing quests, and they allow you to level up your character. Farming is the act of accumulating currency or items by constantly killing a group of enemies or repeatedly performing a series of actions, whether to accumulate a certain amount of items or a certain amount of money. Either way, it's considered farming. An instance or a dungeon is a copy of a particular dungeon for a group of players. Instance dungeons are parallel worlds which let different groups of players explore the same dungeon in separate groups. Instances or dungeons are usually run by 5 people. Ink, I-N-C, refers to incoming enemies, so if somebody were to say ink, then you would know that there are enemies coming at you. To kite is to lure a mob or player around while attacking or allowing allies to attack. A player usually draws aggro by casting a mobility reduction spell on the target. The monster tries to follow the target but cannot catch up, leaving it open to attacks or the effects of a damage over time spell. Line of sight refers to if you have an open shot, whether it's with an arrow or a spell, on an enemy. So if you're behind a tree and an enemy's behind that tree, you don't have line of sight. But if you move around the tree and you see him, then you have line of sight. Loot refers to the whether it's gold or items that an enemy drops after they die. LFG or LFM refer to looking for group or looking for more, which is usually used when a group is trying to get into a dungeon or a raid. A mod or an add-on are used to help your gaming experience. You can get add-ons that show you the amount of aggro that you have, show you the amount of DPS that you're doing, damage per second, etc. A nerf is to reduce the power of an ability, item, or player or action. Usually this is a term applied when a power or ability is reduced because it's perceived to be too powerful for the game. A newbie or noob, I think we all know what that is, a new player. A pat or a patrol is enemies that respawn in usually a dungeon that patrol a certain area of the dungeon. So if somebody says pat, then you know a patrol may be coming behind you because they already respawned earlier in the dungeon or what have you. To port is short for teleport. If you're going through a portal or a mage is porting you somewhere. PvE or PvP, uh, player versus environment, or player versus player. Many different MMOs work on different terms. Some MMOs you can play PvE or you can play PvP. PvE kind of refers to playing the NPCs in the game, the non-players, going into dungeons and defeating all the enemies, etc. PvP is more like what they call battlegrounds, or player on player. So you're actually playing against other people who are playing. A raid could either be 20 to 40 people, and it's can take up to 5 to 6 hours. And what it is it's pretty much a huge dungeon or a huge instance that takes a lot of work. Respec is when you're not happy with the abilities that your character has, so you completely get rid of them and you reset all your points into different places to make him a different kind of character with different abilities. To res is to resurrect somebody. A roll is usually after a rare item drops, you can you select roll, need roll, or greed roll, and if you don't really need the item, then you press greed, and anybody else who doesn't need it presses greed, and you roll a greed roll, and whoever wins the... I decided to talk about language from the MMO aspect just because of how big it became and how much vocabulary and abbreviation was involved, and how it grew to be at this point, to the point where almost you don't even understand what people are saying when they're talking about it. And I always just thought it was amazing how this aspect of social media, as well as entertainment media, caused such a huge change in video game language in general, and the way people interact with games. And MMOs are just a great example of how much this type of media has affected the way we talk to each other socially and how we talk about games. And I mean, games in itself created a completely different language for us, and it's completely different culture as well.